Yo guys, what's going on? Welcome to another Manchester United match review. Yesterday, as you can see above me, Manchester United beat Rangers 2-1 at home at Old Trafford. We'll go through the usual rigmarole, we'll go through the stats, we'll go through the player ratings brought to us by FootMob. This isn't a sponsored stream, I just like using FootMob. And then I'll have a quick talk about the game. Before we do jump into this one, make sure to drop us a like if you do enjoy the match reactions. Your support is always much appreciated. And drop us a sub if you are new. We are closing in on the big 1,000. So maybe we'll get there by the end of the year. But anyway, let's have a look at the match stats then. So it was a 67-33% split in possession. 2.69 XG to United to Rangers 1.42. 16 total shots to 11. 6 being on target, 7 on target for Rangers. 3 big chances apiece, 2 big chances missed apiece. Accurate passes, we had a 87% pass accuracy. 10 fouls committed to Rangers 14. 7 corners to their 5. The lineup from yesterday, we'll have a look at the player ratings and what was given out. So, Bayindir in net, got a 7.7. I'm happy with that rating. He made a good few saves. I think he looked solid in the net. I really liked how he dealt with the corners coming in from Rangers. I think he looked far more comfortable dealing with corners than Onana did. And I'd be confident in saying if Onana was in goal, I think they would have caused a bit more trouble with a couple of those corners, and we might have even ended up losing the game. We'll go to the right-hand side of the defence first of all. So Yoro and Dillit were both given 6.8, both coming off pretty early in the second half. I think they both did their job. I don't think they did anything spectacular yesterday. Dillit, I think, was robbed of a goal. I think that first chance should have probably gone in and stood. I don't think the foul was enough to be ruled off, but it was. And Martinez got an 8.3. I think Martinez played very well yesterday. I'm not his biggest fan, but credit where credit is due. I will say Martinez had a good game yesterday. Got the assist for the Bruno Fernandes winner. So, yeah, I think you're giving him an 8.3. I think he was one of the better players on the pitch. So, yeah, I'll give him that. Moving on to the midfield 4, we got Delo over on the left-hand side on a 7.5. Yeah, I'd say that's about right. I think the midfield 4, who started the game, had decent games. I think Delo was good. I think he was solid over on that left-hand side. Ahmad over on the right-hand side got a 7.5 as well. And again, I think he was good. I don't think either of them were spectacular, but they were good. They did their job. They did what they had to do. And I feel like that's what we miss a lot of in this team, is players within the starting 11 who come out and put in those 7 to 7.5 performances more often. Way too often at Manchester United, especially under Amrim, the team either plays very well as a collective and they all get good scores, or the whole team just flops and they're all 6s and belows. We never get those games where you have everyone playing well and then, I don't know, 1 or 2 players that didn't particularly affect the game that much. Yesterday you could argue that Xerxes is like that, and given his rating of 6.1, which I'll get onto in a moment, but I think as a consensus yesterday, the whole team played well. It wasn't just a few standout players that didn't do a good job. But the midfield 2 yesterday, Eriksen and Collier, I was a bit worried when I saw those 2 names in the midfield, but you know what? Granted, because Eriksen didn't play in the midfield 2, Eriksen was actually lining up at right attacking midfielder. Garnacho was on the left and Bruno Fernandes slotted into the central midfield. He got an 8.6 and won the FootMob man of the match, and I would agree with that. I think, I've been Bruno's one of his bigger critics this year. I've said he's had his inconsistencies in his game, and he has. But yesterday he turned up, he proved why he's our captain, and he put in a captain's performance and got the winner. Good performance. Ericsson, didn't honestly see too much of him, but he didn't do anything for me to sit there and question that he wasn't any good. He did his job. He wasn't spectacular. He got a 7. He was pretty good on the deliveries. Our deliveries into the box from corners yesterday were good, and he put some decent deliveries in, so I'll give him that. Toby Collar in the midfield, I think since this guy's come in, I think he is a breath of fresh air in our midfield, where he is not prepared. He is not scared to put the donkey work in. He runs about. I think he looks a bit odd because he doesn't have the long socks and he wears the shorter ones. But apart from that, I think he's a solid player, and I think we've got a decision to make in the summer because, listen, I don't think any of our players are going out on loan anywhere at the moment, which I think is fucking criminal. But what I will say is this. Players like Toby Collier, we have a decision to make within the summer. The decision being, is he going to get regular game time to improve himself at Manchester United in the next season? If the answer is no, he needs to be sent out on loan. There is no point keeping him here, sitting him on the bench and giving him 20 minutes at the end of one game, maybe a bit of the FA Cup. That's fine for your breakthrough season. He's had his breakthrough season now. The next season we need to decide where his path is going to be. Is it going to be fighting for first team football at Manchester United? Probably not, because I don't think he's up to that level yet. To me, he needs to go out on loan, like what Chelsea or Man City would do with any of their players. They'd send him out on loan, see where their ability's at, and then they either sell him on or integrate them into the first team. If he goes out on loan, he could go somewhere on loan in the Premier League. I think he's good enough to be Premier League. Maybe target some of the teams that have just come up. Send him out on loan there, maybe. No loan with an option to buy or a deal to buy. Just a straight loan. Send him out on loan. See what he can do. Assess it in 12 months. If after 12 months you've seen enough of that development and you can see him having a role in the team, fantastic. If not, it's time to sell. Get that 25, 30 million pound that you could get out of him from a Premier League club. What I don't want to see happening with Collier is that he rots in the starting, because I would say now he's part of the match day squad. I don't want to see him sitting, rotting on the bench for years, not doing anything, not living up or not even trying to find what potential he's got, and then in a couple of years he leaves for free or an undisclosed fee, which basically means he left for nothing, and goes and finds success elsewhere and just sort of dwindles. We need to be so much better at helping players from our academy move from academy to first team. And it's great when you get players like Garnacho and Mainu who come out of the academy and they're straight into the first team and they're good enough for first team football regularly. Fantastic. What we haven't been good at for years, not just years, over the last decade, if not longer, is moving players from the academy, whether that be the under-16s, under-18s, under-21s, under-23s, reserves. It needs to be that transition from A to B, because at the moment there has been no transition. It's you either go from the academy to the first team if you're good enough, or if not, you're rotting in A and you'll never get to B and you leave and go to C. What we need from A to B is A.1, A.2, A.3 and a progression through to the first team, if not a sale. So you've got A here, moves along. That's the academy. The academy's here. You got the line and then you've got the fork. You've got the fork. B down here. Can you see my finger? Yes, you can. B is the first team. C is moving on elsewhere. And that journey between A to get from A to B or C needs to be so much better. Because we have probably lost so much money from players who have broken into the first team and then just left to rot and left on undisclosed fees where we could have got 5-10 million pounds for at least probably a dozen players. We'd have had 120 million pound, if not more, than what we didn't already have just by helping players move from academy to first team to the exit. And not every player is going to get an exit, but some of them will. We've been okay for, players making a breakthrough from A to B, but long term A to B or C has not been good, and that's what we need to improve on. And I want to see that with Collier. I want to see a commitment to playing him and giving him game time, similar to what we did with McTominay. I'm not talking about playing him every single week, but I'm talking about giving him regular minutes, not 5 matches in next season. I want to see him getting maybe 15 or 20 matches next season. The season after, 20 or 25 matches. And if we can't give him that, it's time to loan or sell. If you think there's potential there, you loan. If you think he's hit his maximum potential, he's not going to get any better, you sell. Because there's no point having him around, a young player. You're just hindering his career when he could be going to find a career at a lesser Premier League club somewhere else. But anyway, that's my opinion on Collier. Moving to Garnacho yesterday. Yeah, he had a good game yesterday. I think he missed an absolute corker of a chance. One of our clear-cut chances where he took that unnecessary touch and tried to finish with his left foot and hit the post. I wasn't a fan of that, but, I think that comes of his composure in the box. I think his composure in the box isn't the best. And he looks at his best when he's coming in from that wide left position, tucking in, taking a few players on and having a shot. There's still question marks about Garnacho, whether he's going to be leaving or whether he's going to be staying. I think if he leaves, it's for financial reasons, and I've discussed that before, where we have got several unmarketable players that do not want to leave the club, or financially will not leave the club, or financially we can't find another home for them, meaning that players like Garnacho and Mainu all of a sudden become a bit more a target to sell for the club because they can get money from them. They're young, they've got potential, and they can drag a bit of money out for them. We'll see what happens with that. And then we got Xerxes from the final of the starting 11, who's been scored a 6.1. And I do feel sorry for Xerxes because I don't think we got the best out of him yesterday. Xerxes is that striker where he's not going to make darting runs into the box. He doesn't really want to get on the end of crosses. He doesn't want to receive a ball over the top. He's not like Rasmus in that sense. Rasmus will at least try and get to a ball over the top or try and get to a ball in the box. Xerxes wants the ball to feet. He wants to do a bit of dribbling into the box. He wants the ball to feet at the edge of the box so he can play a neat little pass. And we didn't really give him that yesterday. I don't really feel like we had him in the game at all. So I think a 6.1 is probably a harsh but fair reflection of in the game. Not to say that he was terrible, because he wasn't, but he didn't get the chance to do anything because the players around him didn't enable for him to do anything. And that's why I feel like he's just not maybe the right fit for this team and needs to be moved on. Because if you're not going to get the best out of your striker, and the problem is with him and Rasmus is they're two very different profiles of players. You wouldn't be confident at Rasmus taking the ball and having taken a man on, but you'd had more that confidence with Xerxes, and the players barely get the best out of Rasmus Højlund, and he's been here for 18 months. And they still don't know how to pass him the ball correctly. So, Xerxes got a long time here. He's going to have a long few games if he thinks he's going to be getting into the game. We had a few subs. 5 subs were used. Harry Maguire came on. He's been scored a 6.7. Was to blame for the conceded goal. Got shrugged off the ball way too easily, in my opinion. He didn't really look on it at all yesterday, in my opinion. He looked a bit off the pace, looked a bit slow and sluggish. Should have scored a goal, in my opinion, from that ball in. And he was the only one in front of the ball. The ball was in front of him, and he missed it. Malacia came on, got a 6.5. I'd say that's probably fair for Malacia. I think he He does all right, Malacia, when he comes on. And if Malacia could stay fit, I'd be more than happy him staying here as that squad player left back, because I don't think he's ever going to be good enough to start at left wing back for Manchester United. Nowhere near. But as a squad player, when he's over there, I don't have a problem with him over there. I think he does the job to a basic degree, and that's really all I want from a player who's going to come on with half an hour to go or fill in for cup games. I just want a player who's going to be fit and is going to be able to do a job to a okay or solid, I'm not expecting him to come on and put in 8s or 9s, but to churn out that 6 or 7 rating out of 10 is okay for me. And then we saw Mainu and Ugarte come on. Mainu looked alright. Ugarte looked a bit off the pace to me. I don't think Ugarte or Mainu have been dreadfully good over the last couple of games. I'd even be tempted against Wolves, maybe to see if you could play Mainu and Collier, or try Collier in with one of Mainu or Ugarte and see how that works. Not that I want to overplay Collier, but I think he's really impressed in these couple of games that we've seen him. And then Rasmus came on with 10 minutes to go or so, and he didn't really get enough time to do anything in the game. But in terms of my thoughts of the game yesterday, look, I think we played well. I think as a collective, we were on top for large periods of the game, especially, I think that we controlled the ball well. I think we held the ball well in where we had to. And I think overall it was a solid performance. And you just sit and wish, that this is what you could see every week. Because if you could see that sort of performance from the lads every week, you're not going to be beating your Chelseas and your Arsenals and your Liverpools. But you'd be able to churn out a few results where you could at least put yourself with an outside chance of securing a European spot. But unfortunately, we're going to play Fulham at the weekend, and you just don't know what's going to turn up. You don't know if it's the United that you've seen today that's going to, or not today, but yesterday, that turned up, where they all put in a decent shift and they're going to try, or whether you get the team that turned up against Brighton, who didn't give an absolute shit and pissed it up the wall. You just don't know what you're going to expect of this Manchester United team, and that's the worrying thing at the moment, is that inconsistency where you get a player one game who's fantastic and in the next game he's not on it at all, and then that's flipped to certain players. And like I say, we're missing those players at the moment, apart from maybe Ahmad and De Ligt, who are going to put in those solid 7 out of 10 performances game in, game out. You know that when you see that player's name on the team sheet, you're thinking, he's going to have a great game today. He's going to be good today. I look at the goalkeeper, whether it's Anana or Bayendir. There's question marks about both of those. I look at Lenny Yoro and he's playing and he's got his inconsistencies. He's young, still learning his craft. I look at Maguire and I look at when he starts. I'm thinking, sometimes he isn't very good. I look at Martinez and I think sometimes he gets bullied out of a game. I look at Delo and I think sometimes he's not particularly great. I look at the midfield 2 or 4 who can play in the midfield, and they're not guaranteed a great game. Garnacho isn't always at the races, and our strikers are, you might as well not have one, because we don't know how to play with a centre forward. When we play with Xerxes, we play balls to him like it's Rasmus, and when we play with Rasmus, we're playing balls to him like it's Xerxes. It's very, very confusing to get your head around. But listen, the positive is we won. That leaves us in 4th place in the Europa League now. I believe there is one match day left to go, right? We can't top the table now, but you would say a draw against whoever our next who is our final opponent? I don't know. Let me have a look. We are playing, I don't even know what that club's called. Is it Stout Bucharest? I think it's Stout Bucharest, FCSB, away from home. Will be tricky, but you know, you should be able to get at least a draw there and see yourself into the final eight. What we don't want to be doing is losing and then having to go through that qualification round, because that's when you're just adding on more unnecessary games. You know, if we just get a draw, we'll be okay and we'll see ourselves through to the final eight. Ideally, we should be looking to go Stout Bucharest and taking a win. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that one. But yeah, that's it for the review today. All in all, a good performance yesterday. A lucky goal with a Butland own goal, but a good goal from Bruno to finish the deal. Still plenty of things to work on defensively, but offensively yesterday was much improved. Creating good chances, and when you create good chances, eventually the goals will come. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be it for today. Like I said, if you are enjoying the football reviews, drop us a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.